Today we have our brand new Ford Bronco. Case, the best Ford Bronco that nobody bought. And what are we up to today?
Tommy, we've had this Bronco for almost a week and we haven't off-roaded it yet. That's a crime.
That's right. So we're gonna run this up a level 7 out of 10 trail, fresh out of the box, and see how she does. There's that rock slider. Okay. Whee. Sorry, Dad.
It's not brand new anymore, huh? Since we're doing a challenging trail, we're gonna air down using our Thor's Lightning Kit.
That's right. So we're gonna hook all 4 tires up to this little gauge, air down to about 18 PSI, and then we'll be ready to hit the trail. You know that Case hates hand modeling? Case, what if we move you to foot modeling?
Nope. This is not any better.
So Case, this trail is called T33. It actually leads to a plane crash at the end of the trail.
Yeah, so there's a bit of history here on this trail, which is kind of interesting. So by the time we get to the end of the trail, we'll be able to see the wreckage that's still there. Already getting a little bit of slip.
Yeah, dude. This is a really cool trail. It's rated on Onyx Off-Road a 7 out of 10. You want to read us that little blurb there, Case?
Exactly. So looking at the difficulty rating on Onyx, it says difficult, large embedded boulders mixed with loose rock, minimum 35-inch tires, short wheelbase with a rear locker, challenging, tight maneuvering through trees.
Okay.
So it's definitely not an easy trail, but it's one that this Bronco is really well suited for.
Now we're starting out this trail in low range with diffs unlocked. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the goat mode right now into the rock crawl setting, and that's going to automatically click on that rear locker, and I think we'll probably need it up here.
Yeah, for sure. So it makes sense for what we're about to do. I don't love the fact that it automatically kicks on your locker because I usually want to be the one to activate that myself, but I understand why it does it, and it might be useful for this.
All right, so we got this little stair climb here. Now this is the Bronco Everglades, which has the Sasquatch package from the factory. And what does that give us, Case?
Gets us 35-inch tires, so like Onyx recommended with the difficulty rating of this trail, and that's great. We also get front and rear lockers, which is going to make a world of difference. So this Bronco, in its current condition, has tons of clearance, we've got tons of traction, and we've got quite a big diameter tire for something from the factory.
Yeah, and this Everglades is such a cool trim. And at the beginning I said it's a trim that, oh, there we go. So that's just the rear locker. We're starting to pick up some tires and get some slip. This is a trim that was very unpopular. It's been discontinued actually. It's only was around for a couple of years, and that's because it was very expensive. It was, I think this one was $57,000 or $58,000 with the vinyl seats, no power seats, no heated steering wheel, no ventilated anything.
And a big one, the 4-cylinder instead of the V6.
That's right. So people are like, why am I paying all this money when I can get a Wild Track with a V6? But the reason you're paying the money is because you get snorkel.
Yeah, you get a winch from the factory, which is kind of pasted on the front bumper. It's not really integrated into the bumper, but it's still nice to have.
But you get all the goodies, right? You get factory rocks rails, you get all the underbody protection, you get these really cool gray wheels.
Even raised diff breathers so that you can wade through more water.
Yeah.
That we have a lot of that in Colorado.
So we just went through kind of our first obstacle with just the rear locker on, tires aired down, and in any other off-roader, I think we'd be working hard like at a 4Runner.
Yeah.
This thing we just walk right up.
Pretty easy so far.
So far, we gotta find some harder stuff. All right, Kay, so first time on the T33A plane crash trail. What do you think?
I think it's good. It's pretty challenging, definitely narrow like they described on the Onyx app. And this is a trail I've never been on, to your point, and one that you haven't been on in quite a while, many years.
Yeah, for sure. Oop, now we're getting a little sideways.
So there's been some points on this trail where we've thought, this is about as wide of a vehicle as we want to have on this. But right there, the width gave us a little extra stability, which is not bad.
So I'm gonna go ahead and click on a rear locker. I've been turning it off in between the obstacles.
Yeah, just to make the turns a little easier. There we go.
Nice. And there's actually been a few points where we're kind of hitting some underbody protection. So this trail, here's the thing about Sasquatch Broncos, right? You can get the Sasquatch package on anything.
Yeah, for sure.
So you can get it on like a luxury trim, you can get it on a base trim, and it gives you the tires, it gives you the locking diffs. It doesn't give you the sway bar disconnect.
Yeah, because that's a Badlands feature.
Yeah, so like you gotta get the right trim to get that sway bar disconnect. But any Bronco with the Sasquatch is so unbelievably capable out of the box that a trail like this just seems like child's play. This is a rated 7 out of 10 trail.
Yeah, this is a legitimately difficult trail, even for some pretty heavily modified machines. But this Bronco with a Sasquatch package or like a Wrangler Rubicon are two of the best rock crawling vehicles you could get turnkey from the factory with a warranty and go out and hit trails with.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. Now,
Really impressive.
This Bronco has a little 2.3 liter engine, right?
Yeah.
Other Broncos you can get with the 2.7, just not the Everglades, the V6. But I never really feel like you need more power.
No, especially for a machine like this and what it's designed to do. It's not a Bronco Raptor. It's not designed to be fast. And on the street, the power from this engine, plenty adequate. So, especially too here on the trail, in low range, it's not like we're missing anything.
No, it's got this cool thing because the air intake is elevated by the passenger side A-pillar.
Yeah.
You get some kind of turbo whistle.
That's true at times when we're going up some obstacles.
I'll brake torque it a little. Kind of cool, huh?
It's kind of subtle, but it's a cool noise. Every now and then you build a little bit of boost running up an obstacle, and you hear the turbo through that raised intake. That's part of this Everglades package. So it's a cool trim. I actually like the Bronco that you picked out quite a bit.
Yeah, dude, and we got the vinyl seats, vinyl floors, got vinyl everything in this bad boy. It's got another bit of rock obstacles here, so I think we stop, we get some cameras positioned, and we see what you can do. All right, Case, now things are getting interesting.
Yeah, and there's even a little bit of weather that looks like it's moving in. So hopefully we don't get caught in a big storm. But we're definitely getting into some more difficult features here.
Yeah, this is where that 7 out of 10 comes in, so it's gonna be hard to see with these monster 35-inch tires. But we've got some pretty technical rock climb sections here, and we're gonna see if we can't take the harder lines. See if we have the approach angle here with that metal front bumper.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the angles on this vehicle are really good.
Let's try 2-footing it just a little bit. This is open front and rear. Okay, we're getting that hop.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lock up the rear here.
And the locker engagement on this Bronco is pretty impressive.
Oh.
Front and rear.
Front and rear.
Cheat code time. Look at that.
So people that are like, you don't really need a front locker.
Come on.
90% of situations, you're right. In 10% of situations, you are wrong.
Yeah, and look, you could use some momentum to get over a feature like that without a front locker, but the level of control that you can have when you've got the front locker, unbeatable.
And as Case mentioned, I'm gonna get some hate for this from the Toyota people, but the amount of time I've wasted in my life, aged, waiting for Toyota lockers to engage, right? Where you're just
Or
sitting
like
there.
on the Grenadier, there's plenty of vehicles where the lockers don't kick on the way they do on this. This one, it's immediate, it's awesome.
Instant, yeah, you just push the button and they're on. So next up is this kind of gnarly climb here. We're gonna let our videographers get into position.
Ooh, yeah, you ain't kidding.
One problem I have with this, and partly it's because this has a factory winch, but there is no
Front camera.
front camera.
And look, the front cameras have limited usability because they flatten everything out, and there's probably plenty of old school guys out there saying, oh, you don't need a front camera. But a lot of these modern 4x4s have such a tall, boxy hood. Do you want me to spot your front end?
I'm thinking that the winch is actually causing issues here.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see. Whoa, there's a cliff down here. I'm gonna have to bust out my athletic ankles, which hopefully I packed with me. Hey.
So one of the issues with this winch design in this Bronco, you can see that we're fully hung up here, Case.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons that I do wish this winch was a little bit more integrated into the bumper rather than just kind of pasted up front like it is, but I still think that we can get around it with a slightly different line.
Yeah, maybe if we go, you wanna go passenger?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'll try that. So I'm gonna go ahead and back on down here just a little.
Oh boy. Looking good.
Off kilter too, which is a little scary. I'm on the edge of a little cliff.
Just roll slow. I think you're good.
Climb, Bronco.
Ooh, nice.
All right, now let's see if we have the ground clearance. Oh, That doesn't feel great.
Nice.
Come on, Everglades. Oh,
Good driving.
what a machine, dude. But we're not out of the woods yet, because this bit over here looks just as gnarly. All right, Case, now we're getting even more exciting here, huh, dude?
Yeah, we're even running into a little bit of weather, but the rock is still dry, so we should be good. I'm impressed with this trail, Tommy.
This is where that 7 out of 10 comes from.
Yeah,
You get these really big lock red ledges.
for sure. And it's a really cool trail because you've got kind of a destination at the end, seeing the wreckage of the plane, which makes it cool on an exploration side of things, aside from just doing the trail itself and the obstacles. But impressed with the trail, also impressed with this Bronco, because as difficult as a lot of these features are, Bronco's making pretty quick work of them.
Yeah, dude, it's just killing it. I'm pretty blown away. And I know there's a big off-road modification community surrounding Broncos, but you really don't need to because they're so good out of the box, right?
One of the cool things about a package like this is that you can get all these features from the factory, still warranted, and a lot of the time you'll save money by speccing them from the factory rather than pulling parts off to replace with aftermarket parts to try and build it yourself. So a package like this is a cool thing.
Yeah, it is awesome. All right. Oh!
Ooh! Thank God for those sliders, huh?
This car has 795 miles on it.
Yeah, those are starting to feel like harder and harder miles.
Gently used, never off-roaded, right?
Yeah, only driven to church on Sunday.
All right, now this trail also is interesting because there's several areas like this where it's very, very narrow and you got rocky obstacles with not a lot of options to kind of get through them.
And this is not the most narrow section of the trail that we've driven through so far, but there have been some sections where if we were in a Bronco Raptor, it would maybe be a little bit of an issue.
Would have been a problem, yeah.
And that's one of the reasons that we liked going for this Everglades, because here in Colorado, there's plenty of trails where any wider than this, you're gonna start to struggle.
Okay, here we go. Actually, even without the sway bar disconnect, the articulation's been okay. You know, and it certainly helps that we have these tires aired down because we get some more squish out of that too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely, we're not at the limit of what this Bronco can do. This thing is very capable, but we are hopefully starting to show off a little bit of what this thing is made out of the box.
Also keeping in mind that this is the first trail we're taking this brand new with less than 1,000 miles on it Bronco on. So I think we're doing pretty okay for our break-in procedure here.
I'm not sure my dad would be stoked after spending $55,000 on a Bronco to see what we're doing with it, but hey, listen, he's in Florida. He chose not to be here.
Also, it just depends on how many views we get doing it.
Yeah, so a bunch of people better watch this video.
So please recommend it to your friends so we don't get chewed out.
All right, here we go. Got some rocks here. Now they're becoming a little wet. That's that front skid plate.
Yep. Definitely using the underbody protection, another thing that we're happy to have.
For sure. I'm trying to keep these kind of wheels off of the, this is a good place maybe where we can use our
Trail turn?
turn assist, yeah.
Yeah, and definitely the terrain is starting to get more saturated with the water here, so it's
Get a little hairy.
yeah, it's not going to get any easier as we progress.
The problem is I love these wheels. I think they look great.
Yeah, you don't want to rub them on rocks.
But I don't really want to rub them on rocks yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we'll let that happen in a couple weeks. Pretty cool too that when you turn the trail turn assist on, you can still keep your front locker activated. There's a lot of vehicles that only let you do that in a sequence, rear locker and then front. This one gives you some more options if you want them.
That's really cool, yeah. And that trail turn assist basically drags
A tire, yeah.
Yeah, the tire.
Lets you make a tighter turn.
Come on forward. Oh, that's a big hit.
Yeah, this trail is no joke.
Yeah, it's the real deal out here. Especially with some rain and now we got some kind of mud going on.
Yeah, doesn't make it any less challenging, that's for sure. But it looks like it's smoothing out a little bit, but we still got some more features coming.
Oh, we sure do, yeah. This is a good test of this Bronco. I mean, it's doing great. We got enough grip with these Territory RT tires,
Yeah.
which is kind of a pretty aggressive tire, actually. Yeah. It's got these big lugs, which is going to help us in the mud now because we got mud to deal with. So things are looking okay. I think it would be valuable to give some more information about the trail. So from the trailhead right around Camp Dick off of the Peak to Peak Highway here in Colorado, it's about an hour and a half to get to the end of the trail. And this is an out and back trail.
Yeah, if you're near the Denver Boulder area, it's not too difficult to get out here, but you get to see a pretty cool trail.
And now we get to see a pretty cool plane crash. So it dead ends here. Then we're gonna walk maybe 1,000 feet and we should start seeing plane parts.
We're here, Tommy.
Yeah. So, you know, all levity aside, this is actually a very serious situation. In 1965, Major Curry and Lieutenant Darby veered off course and crashed their trainer into the side of the mountain. So it's a really sad loss of life here. But as a historical artifact, it's really interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing to see because it's not often that you can walk up to and see a plane crash. So it gives you something else to do when you complete the trail.
And it's important, guys, if you come out here visit it, just don't take anything, right? This is essentially a grave site, and it's very important that we maintain the history here. But what we're looking at is a tail section of the T-33, which was a trainer, right? And then I think further down there might even be part of the fuselage.
Yeah, it looks like it. There's parts kind of strewn about, so we'll walk around and look at it.
So Case, obviously another section of wing, and it looks like this is the landing gear.
Yeah, it seems like it. You can see some bearings, what appears to be a brake. I mean, we're not plane experts, we're car guys, but it looks like you can even see a portion of where that landing gear compresses.
Yeah, and this is probably where the wheel would have been, right?
Yeah, stowed away in flight.
Yeah, the disc brake there, and it would have been up.
Yeah.
But this is a really big area here full of debris. I think the thing that strikes me the most about that site is just how intact everything is.
Yeah, it's cool that it's been preserved for so long, and it's definitely an interesting thing, especially if you have kind of a fascination with machines and airplanes especially.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing to go check out.
And listen, I think part of the reason that it's 60 years old and there's still so much remaining that people haven't taken it all is it is pretty hard to get to. I mean, It's not a level 10 trail, right? It's still clearly doable in a stock vehicle, but you definitely want to listen to some of those Onyx instructions. 35s, this is what I call a ground clearance trail. Yeah. There's just a lot of sections of unavoidable rocks you have to straddle, and that's where the clearance comes in.
Yeah, I would say their estimate of the difficulty of this trail was spot on. It was definitely narrow at sections like they said, and even this Bronco, as tall as it is on 35s, we were still touching bottom, so I agree, anything less than that, you might struggle.
You'd be working pretty hard. So getting out of here, we have a tight turn to make, so I want to try out that turn assist, see if it's actually useful, or if it's just a marketing thing, and then we'll hit those obstacles on the way back down as well. All right, Case, so should we give it a go?
Might as well. We've got the feature. No reason not to use it.
So we're in low range, lockers off. Here, I'm going to actually back up just a little to give us a fighting chance of making this turn. And with turn assist on, what I should be able to do is kind of just go crank it hard left here.
And you immediately feel it start to grab at that tire.
Yeah. And that's going to break that inside wheel to try to make the turn tighter, which it does, but it wasn't quite tight enough, huh?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting use of some hardware that's already there, already in place, but I'm not sure the trail turn assist is something that you really need to have.
It's not really a game changer. And the other thing too, which is a bit of a shame, is it's pretty hard on the trail.
Yeah, so it's not something that we use super often, but It's worth a demo.
Okay, so we're gonna try some different lines on the way down here.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. A little narrow, and it seems like we're gonna get pretty off balance here.
Take it nice and slow here. God, you're right. This is one of those cases where I thought it was gonna be easier and I was 100% wrong.
You never know. It's a good thing, again, that this Bronco is as wide as it is, because we're definitely leaned over pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was not the line there, but it just... Ooh. Here's that rock slider. Okay.
Whee.
Sorry, Dad.
It's not brand new anymore, huh? Oh, we're on it pretty good, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was fully hung up there.
Wow. We'll have to get it up on the lift sometime and see how it's looking.
This is for sale as is now. Yeah, like the width, the nice thing is it's a wide vehicle. And,
yeah.
And look, I've taken Wranglers on this trail and they are easier to navigate through this trail because they're narrower. But the advantage of that is stability, right? And you kind of get these like gun sights with the canoe tie downs.
Yeah, that lets you know a little bit where the corners of the vehicle are.
100%. Those are proving to be really, really helpful. So
yeah, this vehicle feels very sure-footed, and that's definitely to its credit on a trail like this.
Yeah, that's exactly the feeling you want when you're doing something like this. But look, I mean, I think that we're both pretty impressed with Bronco performance. Wouldn't you say? Out of the box?
Absolutely.
This thing's kind of killing it.
Yeah, what a beast. And this is just the beginning, because we've got this as a long-termer.
Yeah.
We're going to have it for the foreseeable future, so there's plenty more trails coming this summer.
And I think we're proving, too, that... I'm going to walk around. You can do a lot of stuff.
Sometimes they sneak up on you.
You can do a lot of stuff with independent front suspension.
That's
right?
true.
So, I mean, solid axles, I do still prefer them in this kind of really technical terrain because it also just feels cool having that front end move.
For sure, but a well-designed independent front suspension can articulate really well. We see it on this Bronco, we've seen it on some Land Rover products. They are out there, it exists, but it takes some specific engineering to make that happen.
Yeah, to make it work really well. So the front camera thing is interesting. I agree with you, you don't need front cameras, I've always said that. But with how vertical the fall off is on the front end of the Bronco,
yeah.
For something like this,
it can be a little tricky to see
nice.
out of,
yeah.
For sure. And that's true of a lot of modern vehicles. This is no exception. So
yeah.
Sometimes it helps to go out, either have a spotter when it's really necessary, or at least walk the feature before you decide to just drive blindly.
Over the cliff.
Yeah.
I agree with that completely. All right, fully flexed out on the frame, maybe? Does that feel frame easy?
Frame or slider, something. We touched for a moment there.
We do spend a lot of time on the rear control arm mounts.
Yeah, and we noticed that with the Bronco that we got right when these came out.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely put our fair share of scrapes and bruises on those parts. And, you know, it is what it is. That's what little rattle cans of touch-up paint are for, Dominic.
You got it.
Exactly.
So here we go, talking about some articulation going on here. We're gonna probably be pretty flexed out, and then I'm gonna take this line a little differently.
Yeah, definitely flexed out.
The nice thing is though, so the Everglades only comes in the 4-door, which means that we have quite a bit of wheelbase for kind of these climbs, which is nice. You're not really feeling like you're gonna...
Yeah, the wheelbase of the 4-door is helpful on a lot of some of these steeper rock features where 2 doors really shoot the front end up into the air and tip backward a lot. So, pretty happy overall with the way this is spec'd.
So I'm just gonna take it this way. So what we're finding is the only big limitation with the Everglades is that winch, right?
Yep.
Which is, it's so cool that you can get a winch ready to go, which means that you can come out here by ourselves like we are and not feel as vulnerable.
Yeah, for sure. And I would imagine, I haven't shopped all the front bumpers for these Broncos. I would imagine that there's something out there in the aftermarket that gives you maybe a more elegant, low-profile solution for mounting up a winch.
Yes.
But again, from the factory having a turnkey winch, that's pretty cool.
That's a pretty cool thing, 100%. But it does definitely eat into your approach angle.
For sure.
So one other thing I want to talk about the Everglades is a lot of people online are speculating, why does the Everglades have a 4-cylinder only? I've read a couple of things. This has a higher water fording.
Yep.
People talking about alternator placement. From the engineer I talked to in the launch of this vehicle, he said it's down to weight and crash testing.
Right.
The winch and the plate combined weighs as much as the difference between the 4-cylinder and the 6-cylinder. So they didn't want to have to recertify V6 with the winch.
And I would trust the engineer's explanation on that one.
I would as well.
He's probably pretty well informed.
All right, Case, what do you think? Off the trail in the Bronco.
I would say the Everglades passed with flying colors. It might not be as pretty underneath as it was a couple hours ago, but those are marks of honor, I would say.
I think it's harder to find a more capable vehicle out of the box than a Bronco and Sasquatch. And even though we didn't have the sway bar disconnect, we didn't really need it.
No, this did really well, and there's going to be a lot more trails coming this summer.
So head over to alltfl.com. Be sure to click the link now. We actually have a little QR code you can scan as well to check out Onyx Off-Road. And as always, head over to alltfl.com. We'll see you next time.